We are live. Live Forever Young Radio live. This is Tuesday, 11 a.m. It's our Tuesday show.
It's the 9th.
Of course. The 9th of May. Yeah, I left that part out. It's May 9th.
Yeah.
Anyway.
2023.
Yes. We might as well date stamp this.
Well, the stuff stays on forever, so you might as well let people know what year it is. We've been doing podcasts for over 2 years, right?
Yeah, at least 2. Yeah, we have, I was looking at, it's funny that you said that because we're going to be, our podcasts are going to be on Radio St. Pete, 96.7 on their live stream channel soon. I actually just talked to the guy yesterday, and I'm going to be sending, I think it's 78 or so of our old shows over. And so if you guys haven't heard it, if the people who listen have not heard all the podcasts and you live in St. Pete, turn on 96.7. You might just hear Live Forever Young Radio.
That'd be cool.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be cool.
I would love that. But anyway, so we're here today. Welcome everybody. Let me make sure all my settings are right. I got everything looking good as best as I can. We got a new layout here. I think this layout's better, Bob. What do you think?
Seems like it.
Seems like it's a little more comfortable. We got to get the lighting. We got to do something with this lighting here, but we'll get it. But anyway, so the show. Sorry, I got carried away.
That's all right.
Keep me on track, Bob.
It's all part of it.
Anyway, so the show today we're talking about is a brand new, actually 2 new studies. The first one that we're talking about is a study that shows regular internet usage can actually maybe help to slow cognitive decline.
Yeah.
Right. One of the things that we were looking at as we were doing our research for the Alzheimer's drug story that we did on Thursday of last week, we did a show called about the new experimental Alzheimer's drug that actually has a lot of promise for people with Alzheimer's. And so if you didn't see that, that's the last show on YouTube in our live section. Go check that out. But as we were doing that, we ran across some really cool studies that we didn't have enough time for on the other show. So we wanted to talk about them today.
Yeah.
One of the coolest ones, and one that really actually kind of relates to what we do at Boomer Products is, so when we started Boomer Products, our main focus was boomers, right? Then we realized the products are so strong and they work great that they're not just for boomers, they're for everybody, right?
Yeah.
But because we started working mainly with people in the boomer age bracket, there were some, what we'll say, internet challenges because we're an online business, right? And having people find our information on YouTube and go find our podcasts and our blogs. Actually, here's a graphic that'll make that easy right now. Here's our website. If you guys are watching, click there. But, as we tried to work with a boomer population, it wasn't something that they were really familiar with. So we actually took a lot of time. I know I did. I know Bob has actually taken a lot of time to show people and talk through people how to help them make emails, set up their online account for boomers.
Yeah.
So that way they have these skills to kind of go out and use every day because, writing checks is becoming very, very old school. Not even many people take checks anymore.
Yeah.
So you have to have these internet skills, and this really cool study that we found actually relates to that. And it actually kind of talks about if your parents or grandparents ask you how to post an Instagram or how to send a birthday message on Facebook, you might want to think about helping them, right?
Yeah.
Because it's actually something that could help to slow down cognitive decline. So the study was published on Wednesday in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society. All right. In this study, they tracked 18,154 adults between the ages of 50 and 65 for about 8 years. So that's a pretty long study. Okay. Now, what they were tracking had to do with their internet usage. Okay. The adults in the study were part of the Health and Retirement Study, which is a collection of data it's a multidisciplinary collection of data from a representative sample of people in the U.S. that's gathered by the National Institute of Aging and Social Security Administration. So this is Social Security. They want to know if you guys can file the taxes and do what you need to do online to replace your Social Security cards instead of having to go into the office, I guess. But in the study, these participants were asked a very simple question. Do you regularly use the World Wide Web or the internet for sending and receiving email or for any other purpose, such as making purchases, searching for information, or making travel reservations? So people who use the internet at the start of the study had about half the risk of dementia as people who were not regular users, right?
Half the risk.
Half the risk. So when we look at that, the researchers also looked at how often the adults were online, from not at all to more than 8 hours a day. Those who use the internet for about 2 hours or less a day had the lowest risk of dementia compared with those that didn't use the internet at all, who had a notably higher estimated risk for dementia. So when we look at those numbers, we think to ourselves, why, right? Bob, thoughts?
Yeah. So the internet quite often is brand new for older people. They didn't grow up using the internet like younger people did. So they have to learn something new. So it's like, okay, here I am. I know what a keyboard is. I used to type, but what's this enter key? What's this backspace key? What's the delete key? What does the control key do?
How do I copy and paste?
Right. How do I use this mouse thing?
Right.
Right. And so someone shows them like, okay, grab the mouse, click on the left button, move it around, highlight, click this. That's a link. So they have to learn what a link is. These are all brand new things. So as people are learning anything that's brand new, whether it's on the internet or otherwise, you have to create new synaptic connections. Your brain has to expand. It has to develop. It's called neurogenesis, the creation of new neurons, new connections. And it's that type of activity that's new that puts your brain into expansion mode that is what's curtailing the cognitive decline.
Right.
So if you're doing the same thing over and over again, day after day, you never learn anything new, your brain goes into decline.
Now, keep in mind the neurogenesis. That's where you were. I just wanted to take a second because this wasn't on our list, but we did a podcast about how adults can actually make brain cells into their 70s, right? And that's what we're talking about here. That was thought before that we stopped making brain cells at a certain age.
Right.
But there's been a couple of years ago, there was some studies found and some research done that actually shows that neurogenesis is possible even as you get older, right? So that's what's actually really cool when we talk about internet and the learning of new things, especially in a particularly older segment of people. It's that brain play, that keeping your mind sharp that the internet kind of forces you to do, right?
Yeah. Keeping your brain active, learning new things. That's the key. It's not just that you're doing the same thing over and over again. It's the newness that creates it. But what happens is that if people are using the internet up to 2 hours a day, they've learned some new skills and they're using it, but then they're moving on and doing something else, right?
Right.
But if you're doing the same thing over and over again on the internet and you're doing it for 8 hours a day, okay, you actually cause decline.
Right.
So you have to. So they're saying that the sweet spot is 2 hours.
Right.
And it makes sense that that's the case.
Well, yeah, because when you think about it, if we're talking about, like, we kind of use the term default mode, where you kind of get stuck in default mode, where you're doing the same thing over and over again. And in default mode, you're not making any progress forward. You're just maintaining, right? Yeah. And so that's kind of what's happening to the brain. Even if you're on the internet and you learn some new things, that's great. Go do something different. But if you're doing the same thing on the internet 8 hours, 9 hours a day, that could actually maybe lead to the opposite. So find that sweet spot. Like they said, it was right around 2.5 hours, right? And then do something else. I mean, just like I tell my daughter, you got an hour on that thing or the phone or whatever she's playing with. You got an hour on that. So do your thing and then jump off, right? Keeps her sharp, but it doesn't get her engrossed in the same things over and over again. So that's a balance that you have to come up with as a parent nowadays, I'll tell you.
The issue of doing the same thing over and over again that you did yesterday and the day before and the day before that, ultimately there are memories in the past that are things that bother you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you're going to be acting out of these old memories.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
In the worst case scenario, people end up with mental illness because they're perseverating on bad things that have happened in the past and they can't escape it, right? The past is always present.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's a way to get away from the past and move into the present is using havening.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. You can actually focus on the present.
And you can also use it to overcome fear, because a lot of people won't use the internet because of fear that they're going to not be able to do it.
Or, you know what, a lot of people are, and this is from experience helping people on the phone here when they either call to try to order their products over the phone or they need help figuring something out. It's not that they didn't know what to do. And I find this with my daughter. Not that she doesn't know what to do, say with math, because that's something she works with. It's that she doesn't want to get it wrong, or she doesn't want to have to redo it, or she doesn't want to lose her spot. And it's the same thing when you're on the internet. You're at this page and it says, now, are you sure you want to move forward? I don't know. Like that's kind of like a loaded question. I don't know. Did I do it right? Should I go back?
Yeah.
And so there's that fear that could be triggered, which causes anxiety, right? And so, as you talk about this type of thing, when you get to that point of making decisions, as people age, it's actually natural for brain processing speeds to slow down a little bit, and it may get harder to remember what's on your computer or what you're kind of moving through. But in a healthy brain, a normal brain, routine memory and knowledge remains pretty stable. But these people that may have dementia or are starting to form dementia actually have trouble with routine brain functions, like making new memories, making decisions, like, should I move forward? Did I do it right? I can't remember. Those things. That's when you might be thinking, oh, there's some dementia starting to kind of set in here. It's problem-solving issues, completing normal tasks. So it's funny that the computer, with giving you these things, it might challenge you, but there's really no fear, because you're not going to screw anything up too bad,
Right. And people have to just agree to learn the basic skills. So there's a back arrow key where you can go backwards if you go somewhere you don't want, and how to X something out. If it takes you completely to a new spot, if you go up to the top and X out, you can go back.
Right.
So those types of things are once people realize that they have those options,
mm-hmm.
then the fear starts to diminish.
Right. And it turns into confidence, because they know, hey, I can go back. And they remember that they can go back. You know what I mean?
But also, Raleigh, for both children and adults,
mm-hmm.
they have a fear, whether it's the fear of the internet itself or the fear that they're going to screw up a math problem.
Right.
That's where tapping comes in.
Exactly.
Where you can use tapping. In fact, for children, we have a separate website for tapping.
Absolutely. Schooltestprep.com has actually got a cartoon that we created with Johan in it, who gives you the little tapping for test anxiety that you can use. And in there's some other great resources that you can actually, if you have children that have kind of an issue with that, or even not just with test anxiety, but social anxiety, anything, tapping can work. And we actually have those videos on our YouTube channel, which is where you can see this replay as well. Boomers Forever Young YouTube. So check those out. Those are under, I believe those are under self-care.
The emotional freedom technique has its own section.
That's true. Yes. Very good. Thank you, Bob.
Section.
Keeping me on track. So one of the things we were looking at too in the study, well, what the study was looking at, and it brought up, is there's about 6.2 million people that are 65 and older that have Alzheimer's disease, right? And it's the most common form of dementia. And as the aging baby boomers continue to age, that number is expected to grow. Right. Yep. So we want to be able to use things like the internet and the learning of new tasks to keep us sharp. Obviously here, there's other studies that they have looked at that suggest the internet can positively connect them to others. Right. So a lot of the things we talk about as you age is loneliness. Right. So the internet gives someone who may be isolated and not have a chance, or is easy to get out around, the ability to make a social connection, Bob. And that's really important, right?
Yeah, yeah. They say that social connection trumps everything else.
Right.
So even if you have a lot of risk factors for dementia, like you smoke cigarettes, you have diabetes, you have heart disease, you have high inflammation, all of those things can be overcome through social contact. Social contact and interaction is very emotionally satisfying, and it's also intellectually stimulating because you're having conversations with other people.
Actually, that's why we decided to go live with all of this, because we kind of we're wanting that interaction with the audience. So don't hesitate to throw me a chat in here, and if I see it, I will definitely comment on it. But that's part of the whole, this what we do here, right? With this internet connection that we're making is a social connection with people. And so to have that skill, along with, how to use the internet is very important. Another thing that we were talking about, learning new social platforms. Okay, so researchers also suggest that most older adults most frequently use the internet for basic tasks, like we were talking about, how to do an email, watching the news online, doing their banking online, right? But growing numbers of them are turning and learning new social platforms, like how to sing and dance on TikTok. Actually, I've seen some amazing people on TikTok. I can't remember. Granny Cookies, I believe, is one of the ones.
Yeah.
Great person, older person learning how to use the internet and make connections. It's really cool, really cool. So that's kind of the things that when you look at the pros and cons of platforms like TikTok and Facebook, and Instagram, you can get stuck in a rabbit hole pretty easy, right? But there's also sides of the apps and of these algorithms that actually really help to kind of get you connected with someone, with anything really that takes you out of your default mode, as we were talking, right?
Yeah. And I think that another big part of it, Raleigh, is the attitude and the feelings that you have. So when people are using the internet, once they get over the fear and they learn to use it, they expect good things to come of it because they're going to discover something new. They're going to use it to accomplish something. They're going to use it to connect with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And so these are joyful things.
Right. That's a good point. It's no longer a source of anxiety because I don't know how to use it. It's, hey, who can I go check out? Where's the bingo? Where's bingo at? Maybe you can go and access your church's website. I know a lot of churches that stream their services online for people who can't make it to the service. Right. So maybe you're involved with your church. You can't make it to a service or a mass. Get online and watch their YouTube feed, just like this.
Yeah, you can watch Live Forever Young Radio live, right?
Amen, baby.
And so I think that's a big part of it is, and so if people want to move from fear, if you're not yet using it, or you're working with your parent or grandparent to help them get over the fear, learn to do the emotional freedom technique. So once you learn to do tapping, which is tapping, on your fingertips this,
awesome.
You could help a person who you want to be able to take advantage of this discovery that using the internet helps with your brain. Have them tap and say something like this: even though up until now I thought I had to be afraid to go online and use the internet, I completely love and accept myself. And I'm so grateful that I realize I am going to learn how to do it quickly and easily, and I'm going to feel at complete peace, right? Cross your hands over your heart and breathe in and out, and boom, just like that, the fear dissipates. And now you can go on, okay, how do I do this? Where's the switch to turn the computer on? Where do I first click using this mouse thing to log on? What's my password?
Yes.
It's easy, right? That's 3 things and you're in.
Right.
Like tic-tac-toe, right? Tic-tac-toe, or like this. So if you ask somebody, do you think you could learn to do this? Just watch. It goes like this. Tap, tap, tap. Well, sure, I can do that. Tap, tap, tap. How about this? Click computer on.
Right.
Okay. Grab the mouse.
Right.
Click login. And if it wants your password, type a password that says something like mom's computer, whatever. Okay. You think you can do that? It's just like tap, tap, tap. Right. So they go, yes, of course. Right. Boom, 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 boom. You're in.
Right.
And so you do it in sets of 3. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you could take the mouse and learn how to click the back arrow? Yes.
Absolutely.
You think you could take the mouse and learn how to get your Gmail, your email system up on by clicking here and clicking here?
You know how I know this works? And I'm going to give a shout out to Gene and Jim and everybody who works here.
Yeah.
Almost everybody who works here is of the baby boomer generation, if not a little older. And
or 10 years older.
They act like, they don't act like it.
Right.
But anyway.
They act 12 sometimes.
Yes, they do.
Which is great.
Which is a great thing.
Just like us.
Right. Especially in the Thursday meeting when they won't be quiet. Anyway, the funny thing about it is this works because this is when we actually had Jim come and help us. Jim had little to no, he was a writer, but he actually still used a typewriter. Literally, he actually was writing his book on a typewriter still. And he was trying to start to learn how to use the computer. And he had all these different Word documents, and each one was a chapter. So it was fun to try to help him learn how to use the computer, and you could see the growth that he made. So break it into small steps, right? 1, 2, 3, tic-tac-toe. Then you move on to the next one, right? So very good stuff here because
and it's worth the effort,
right?
Because we can see now that if somebody makes the effort to learn and do it and use it for useful things, then yes, their cognitive decline will slow down.
Absolutely.
By half.
That's what the study says too. But one of the other studies that we were looking at, and we actually found it a little while ago, a couple months ago, but I never got a chance to talk about it, and I thought it would be perfect to kind of dovetail into what we were talking about with the internet, is we had found a new study from researchers from the Wake Forest University School of Medicine. They found that taking a daily multivitamin might be associated with improved brain function in older adults. It's also saying here the benefits appear to be greater for those with history of cardiovascular disease. So what happened, right? In collaboration with Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, the Wake Forest University School of Medicine analyzed the cognitive function in older adults who were assigned to take either, check this out, a cocoa extract supplement containing flavonoids, a multivitamin, or a placebo every day for 3 years. This wasn't a couple months. This is a 3-year study. And then the next line here says, no one, not even the researchers, knew who was assigned to which daily routine until the results were revealed. So there was basically a double blind where not even the people doing the study actually knew till after the study, right?
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Why cocoa extract? Let me ask you that real quick.
Well, there was some evidence going back about 15 years ago that cocoa would help with Alzheimer's disease, and people started using it and trying it.
I love chocolate,
and so
is
there
it
was
the same as chocolate?
You studies that showed it.
Talking about chocolate?
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to be part of the cocoa extract.
So, so this is a study where they compared that to the multivitamin.
Well, it's funny. It's the reason why I asked you that is because in here, the next line says, we really believed that the cocoa extract was going to have some benefits for cognition based on prior reports of cardiovascular benefit. So we were waiting for the big reveal in our data. Okay, well, that comes from Baker, Dr. Baker, one of the guys who was running this. And it was not the cocoa extract, in fact, that benefited cognition, but rather the multivitamin.
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
Right? That's pretty impressive. They obviously were very excited about finding this, a new avenue for investigation. Now, these are often thought of as simple, accessible, safe, inexpensive interventions that could have the potential to provide a layer of protection against cognitive decline. But it is important to note, as they say here, more research is always needed to confirm these findings, right?
Yeah.
But this new study, here's the numbers on the study. New study included 2,262 people aged 65 and older who were enrolled between August of 2016 and August of 2017 and followed for 3 years. So this is 3 years. Participants completed tests over the phone annually to evaluate their cognitive function. They were scored on recalling stories, showing verbal fluency, and ordering digits, among other tests. That's a lot of like what you do on the internet, like we were just talking about with the other study. Researchers analyzed function based on the test scores among those who took cocoa compared with a placebo, and among those who took daily multivitamin compared with a placebo. And the researchers found that 3 years of taking the multivitamin appeared to have slowed cognitive aging by 1.8 years, or 60% compared to the placebo. Daily cocoa extract supplementation for 3 years did not affect cognitive function, the researchers noted. So there you go.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we sell this stuff.
Very important. There's this is multivitamins and minerals they're talking about. So you are going to have an effect, and it's a pretty good effect, but it's a limited effect because vitamins and minerals are just 2 classifications of nutrients that people actually need. And there are other specific things that people need, but in general, you have this supplement pyramid with foundational nutrition at the bottom.
Right. So you've got a pyramid basically, and what we adhere to is, and what our total health systems provide is that fundamental base, right? And if you don't have a foundation, it's like a house. It's not going to stand very long.
Right. So the vitamins and minerals are important, particularly certain minerals, which are embedded in proteins, and it helps them to fold, right? But there's numerous other things that are equally, if not more important than the vitamins and minerals. And one of them is antioxidants.
Right? We talk about that a lot.
The antioxidants are what keeps your inflammation down, and inflammation in your body and your brain is going to lead to dementia faster than anything. So in your nutrition regime, you need vitamins and minerals, but you also need superoxide dismutase, you need trimethylglycine, you need glutathione, you need proanthocyanins, you also need the vitamins, A, C, and E. The ACE vitamins are antioxidant, and minerals like selenium, zinc are antioxidant as well. And vitamin C is probably one of the most common ones that people know about.
Another good one is resveratrol.
Resveratrol is excellent, and curcumin.
Yes. Resveratrol comes from the skins and seeds of the muscadine grapes.
Yeah.
And it's actually, with ours, it's called Advanced Blend. That's actually kind of the secret, right? Because it actually mixes the trans resveratrol with the grapeseed extract, and that's where you get the quercetin from. You get the resveratrol and quercetin combo,
right?
And that is great at reducing inflammation.
And it's also great for clearing out old cells that are refusing to die.
Right. We talk about that, the senescence of these cells. So cells are like, they're supposed to rotate, Once they get old and they don't perform their function, they're supposed to
They're supposed to self-destruct to make way for new cells.
Right.
So, and as people age, you have more and more of these very old cells that are refusing to get out of the way, and they produce inflammation. So with resveratrol and quercetin together, it stimulates those old cells to go ahead and die off. And then they can be replaced with new cells that will form from your adult stem cells.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's actually funny that you brought that whole process up, because when you're forming new brain cells, that neurogenesis we're talking about, you want to have your inflammation as low as possible.
Yeah. Kind
of like we were talking about in the last show we talked about with the medicine that helps attack the amyloid plaques.
Yeah.
And the tau proteins.
Yeah.
Those end up getting tangled because of the inflammation.
That's right. That's right. Another really important one is probiotics.
Oh, yeah.
Or the metabolites that come from probiotics. Because
explain that. Most people don't get what a metabolite is.
Right.
So real quick.
So essentially a metabolite is a chemical compound that is created when you combine two other things together, or two or three other things interact, and it releases a creation of a new molecule.
Right.
So in a lot of that, it happens in your large intestine, your gut, so to speak, where you have lots of good bacteria and you have fiber, and the bacteria is fermenting the fiber, and the offshoot or the metabolite is a compound that is very useful in and of itself, or capable of combining with something else to make another new metabolite. They call these downstream metabolites. Right?
Okay.
So, and in regard to the brain and mental health, as well as dementia, the probiotics, if you have adequate ones in your gut, it will help make metabolites that actually, some of which become your neurotransmitters, serotonin, and also, of course, melatonin,
right,
downstream, and also dopamine and norepinephrine and the like. So what our probiotics do is we make the metabolites that are needed usually to be made by your gut. We make them in a vat.
Right.
And then we dry out the process that occurred, and we grind it into a fine powder, stabilize it. And now people can take a powder in a small little scoop, and now you're ingesting these metabolites. They're absorbed in your small intestine. They're available in your bloodstream. They transfer to your cells. And now that helps tremendously with cognition and memory and that.
Now, one of the things, and thank you for explaining that, because the reason why I bring that up is because what a lot of people look for when they buy probiotics is colony forming units, CFUs. And that is essential to create the metabolites in the gut. But with the process that we do, by the end of the, how long does it spend in the vat? 90 days?
90 days.
At the end of the 90-day fermentation process of our probiotics here at Boomer Products, you've got these metabolites already made.
Yeah.
Because that process that would have had to have happened in your gut occurs in the stainless steel clean vat.
Right. And
then you can take that process and ingest that directly. So really it's done for you. And I think I mentioned this on another show, but people without colons, who've had their colons removed, normally cannot benefit from probiotics.
Right. Because they can to a small extent, because probiotics also have action in the stomach and the small intestine upstream. Okay. But most of what happens is in the large intestine. So this is a technology now that we have that allows people that have had their colon removed or part of it removed, or if it's not working properly because it's diseased, then you can have metabolites and your brain will function much better. I got awesome Stephanie. Hello. Hi, Steph. Steph's on. She's hanging out with us. Stephanie. She actually says, our team is ready for your calls. So we are standing by. But actually, Stephanie had a good question. She was just wondering, and then let me show it here on the screen. There it is. How do the probiotics make it past the stomach acids when you take them in? How do they make it past? Yeah. Well, when you take probiotics, when you take probiotics that are colony forming units, not with metabolites, they formulate them in a way with capsules so that they survive the stomach acid. Okay. So if you're relying on the colony forming unit type, which I kind of just explained the difference. So if you're relying on the ones CFUs, they're usually in capsules that will make it through that. Yeah. Got you. Right. So that's a really important aspect. The other big aspect to this is dementia has a very strong correlation with poor circulation. And people need to pay attention to their circulation, because quite often, if someone is starting to develop dementia and then you help them with their circulation, the dementia disappears. A big portion of dementia is caused by poor circulation. So so as it relates to the study on vitamins and minerals, you need additional chemical compounds that aren't classified as vitamins and minerals in order to help your circulation. So arginine being one of them.
Well, it's funny. Let's go over that. So don't forget arginine, but it's funny that you brought that up, because the study that we were just talking about found that the multivitamins were most beneficial for older adults who had a history of cardiovascular disease. And most of the time you have cardiovascular issue, you have circulatory problems, right? And so it's well known that those with cardiovascular risk factors could have lower levels in their blood of vitamins and minerals because of what you're talking about, the lack of ability to circulate. So supplementing those vitamins and minerals could improve cardiovascular health, and by virtue of that, improve cognitive health. Right. And now they keep mentioning vitamins and minerals, but we are doing a good job of saying you need more than just the vitamins and minerals.
Well, there's compounds that are more effective at helping your cardiovascular health and your circulation than vitamins and minerals.
Right.
You actually want all of them. And so
all of them.
Yeah, you want to take all of this. So arginine is a compound that actually is the precursor to nitric oxide, which helps to dilate your capillaries. Okay. That's what we have in Boomer Boost. That's why it's in there. Okay. There's also a compound called phosphatidylcholine. Phosphatidylcholine does many different things, including it helps keep your liver cleansed. It extracts fat from your liver to be burned for fuel. Okay. So you don't get fatty liver, which is a huge cause of disease and death.
That's phosphatidylcholine.
Yep, phosphatidylcholine.
That's in here. I know that.
Yeah, it's in Boomer Boost.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, phosphatidylcholine is a major component of your cell walls. So every cell has a wall that keeps bad stuff out and allows good stuff in, and it the wall opens up to let toxins out. Well, a good part of that is made of phosphatidylcholine, and it helps to keep the cell walls elastic so that it's easy for the transference in and out.
Okay.
And as a result of the cells being more elastic, because your capillaries are made of cells, they are more elastic. Your arteries are more elastic, so it helps with circulation. And when it helps with circulation, not only does it help your brain, but it helps your kidneys and your eyes, which are part of your brain. And this is really beneficial because as you age, cognitive decline is not the only thing. And so you want to make sure that your nutrients, your nutrition supplements that you take contains phosphatidylcholine.
And it's funny that you were talking about other things, because it's really what they were saying here. If we can really, up to 40% of this dementia can be prevented with just better preventative measures throughout one's lifespan, is what they were saying. So really, if we just be a little bit more preventative in our health and the way we eat, and you can do things like eat, sleep better, make sure that you're getting enough sleep, because we've talked about lack of sleep shrinks the brain. You repair while you're sleeping. So it's very important. Exercise.
And stay away from sugar.
Exactly.
Lots of high glycemic index carbs.
That's one of the top things they say.
Creating inflammation and dementia. Right. And so, the other thing, Raleigh, is if you look at what else is in our total health system, a big part of it is the amino acids, right? Because your body is essentially a protein-making machine.
Right.
And your cells are making proteins, 100,000 different proteins that are controlling and activating all the functions in your body. Human beings are essentially a nervous system, which is a brain with a spinal cord that allows us to have cognition. And there's also cognition with your heart muscle and a little bit in your gut as well, in your thymus. Okay. But essentially it's your brain and your spinal cord, and the rest of your body is for supporting that. So your muscles and your bones allow us to get up and move around and eat food, gather food, eat food, right? And do work that supports our brain and our spinal system, which allows us to have consciousness and a meaningful life. Right?
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that that whatever the nutrition is that you're taking in supports your entire body. And in order to support your entire body, so it can protect and support your brain, you have to make these 100,000 different proteins.
Right.
And so the way you make them is with the building blocks, which are amino acids, and they are glued together in these elaborate configurations with the help of enzymes.
Right.
And so you want your nutritional supplements to have the essential amino acids, which are the ones that your body can't make on its own.
Right.
Makes about half of them on its own. The other half you have to take with your diet. And the collection of those amino acids makes up all your proteins. And
that's what I was going to say. Okay.
And the enzymes, which your body makes about 10,000 different metabolic enzymes,
right,
that all play a special role in gluing these proteins together and participating in all your metabolism. And so you want your nutrition products to have those basic building blocks. Vitamins and minerals are fine, but if you never take in essential amino acids, it's not really all that helpful.
Right.
So that's why you need a total health system, because there's many other factors to be considered that are equally or if not more important than the vitamins and minerals.
You know, it's funny because I know a lot of people, they like to take their one a day multivitamin pill, or some of them have like a premixed drink, and it's got some stuff in it. But the thing that does kind of get lost is, like you said, the whole body approach, right? It's great to have vitamins and minerals, but if you don't have anything for them to be used on or used with or combined with and make, or even as well as we were talking about circulation, you could take vitamins, minerals, and you could take all these great things in, but if you're not circulating to the rest of your body, it's not doing any good. And so that's kind of why it's real important when you look at the foundation or the fundamentals of health, that what you're taking has all of that in there, not just the vitamins and minerals, but the antioxidants, metabolic enzymes, the metabolites from the probiotics. Vitamin D, we haven't even mentioned. Vitamin D, it's extremely important. It's one of the most important things for DNA replication. Yep. You cannot replicate your DNA correctly if you don't have enough vitamin D.
And genetic expression.
Exactly.
So that's another big reason why this study probably showed improvement, because almost everybody in the United States is deplete in vitamin D because we don't go into the sun as much anymore, and not very many people take supplements.
No.
And so the typical person declines over time. But if you take the right amount of vitamin D as a supplement, your genetic expression continues to flourish. So when people are young, they are more active, their body works differently, and all those 100,000 proteins, which the code for which is locked in your DNA, right? And the DNA is covered with a sheath that has to be splayed apart in order for the RNA to copy it and then make these proteins.
Right.
Okay? And vitamin D activates a significant portion of your genome. It's called genetic expression, right? And so if you're low in vitamin D, there's all these spots along your DNA that never get activated, and so you never make those proteins. And the older you get, the worse it gets. And so a very big part of the result of this study is probably genetic expression.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden now you're taking in a multivitamin, you're getting more vitamin D. Now it's pinging the more parts of your DNA. You have better genetic expression. You're making more proteins. Boom, you start to feel better.
And you're also making them correctly, because you could make proteins incorrectly, right?
Yeah, well, you can make them incorrectly if the code in your DNA has been damaged by inflammation. Okay, so that's another reason you want to keep your inflammation down. You're going to get these polymorphisms in your DNA from this attack of the free radicals. And even if it splays open the sheath, the RNA will copy an incorrect
that's
code.
What I'm talking about.
Copy an incorrect code.
That's what I'm talking about.
But with the right substrates, you can more easily repair those those cuts in
SNPs
the DNA.
is what we call them.
Yeah.
Single nucleotide polymorphisms.
Yep. And so you have the ability to repair those because you have gene pairs. Okay. So if over here part of the genome gets altered, right, you have a RNA mechanism that will grab the correct code from the pair opposite and come over and call for the substrates to make a repair. That's happening millions of times a second in our body is repair to our DNA.
There you go.
Right. But you want to have proper nutrition in order to facilitate that.
Now, obviously, we talk about supplements and they're likely very safe. But one of the things that I just want to mention, as usual, you want to talk to your primary physician, let them know you're thinking about taking this awesome supplement or this awesome supplement. Yep. Bring it to them, let them see the goodness that's in it, and make sure that it's actually safe for you. Because sometimes you've got stuff that you're taking medication-wise that doesn't mix, right? So it's real important. We talk a lot about working hand in hand with doctors, right? Because like we talked about, you got to get your blood looked at, you got to get your vitamin D levels checked. You got to go see the doctor to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And a doctor can see you physically, and really good doctors will look at you. They'll look at your body. They'll palpate your body. They'll feel your lymph nodes. They'll look at your tongue, your eyes. They have instruments for looking in your ears. This is not things that a nutrition company is ever going to do.
No.
And so we're never going to know as much about you as your doctor. And so, but on the other hand, doctors are not experts in nutrition, and they don't develop products with 68 nutrients in it or special sprouted barley seeds
from northern Canada.
They don't even know, for the most part, that these things exist.
Right.
And so that's why it's up to the patient, the person, to say, okay, let me learn about this by, going to, boomerboost.com and reading about it, watching their podcasts about it. So when I go to my doctor, I know a little bit more about what I'm talking about. I can bring the canisters. And if they say, well, we don't want you taking this because of this, then you can know that. You can research it yourself, find out even more about it, talk to us. We can help you with an alternative, et cetera.
Yeah. And obviously, like we said, talk to the physician. Normally, supplementing is safe, but it does need to be monitored carefully, right? Also, too, as we kind of look at the overview of the study, the findings are very encouraging. For how long we've been doing this, Bob? 11, 12 years now.
Yeah.
We, for 12 years, have had the certain belief, not just belief, but kind of we've seen people do much more, improved quite a bit after using our products, right? So we had a tendency to believe that this was fairly something that would probably be true. But it's nice to have a study and some backup now that lets us know, hey, we're kind of doing the right thing here.
Yeah, absolutely. And another real important part, Raleigh, is what we call photobiomodulation. Right, for dementia. So we interviewed a gentleman who actually invented a new light technology called the sunflower.
It's Peter Forehand, and we have 3 episodes. You got to go check them out.
Just Light is his website.
Yep.
And if you look at our podcast, you'll see the 3 episodes on photobiomodulation.
Absolutely.
And so Peter's really brilliant. He's the inventor of a device he calls the sunflower, and you can actually purchase it now.
It's available for purchase.
$495, I believe.
That's actually not horrible for the type
it
of
was
device
going to be
it is.
$1,000, he thought, but he got the price down.
Yeah, okay.
And so he submitted his research to the FDA for approval for treating Alzheimer's disease.
There you go.
And you can now buy one. It calls it sunflower because it looks like a sunflower.
It does.
The light, and it's on a stalk,
like this.
and then a platform it sits on. And a person will sit in a chair. You put the device behind their head, and you can use it to help people improve their memory and cognition. You can also use it to help with arthritic pain.
Yep.
You can put it on injury to help get the swelling down, things like that.
It's amazing. What we've talked about on some other shows is there's always been kind of a knowledge, and even when we talk with Peter, there's always been a knowledge, even back into the Greek and Roman days, that light heals and vitamins and amino acids help, right? But now there's technology being developed, right? That takes full advantage, like with the Just Light technology from Peter.
It makes it easy for people.
Right, like the Total Health system that we've developed. It's easy to get nutrition.
2 minutes in the morning, take your Total Health system, sit in front of your sunflower for a while, right? And also we know that pulsed electromagnetic fields, in addition to the visible light and the near infrared light, there's other frequencies that help with your circulation. That we can also help people identify where to get a circulation mat that they can lie on.
Yeah, it's actually, if you want any information on that, you can actually go to boomerboost.com. At the bottom, there is a button, I believe it says PEMF mat information. If you click on that, you can get some information and fill out a form, and we'll have Ann, our resident PEMF expert, give you a call back. She gets kind of busy, but
and we interviewed Ann a couple times for the podcast.
Absolutely.
About stem cells.
Yep. Stem cells need nutrition too, with Ann Harrison. That's on boomerboost.com. It's on our YouTube channel. It's on anywhere you can find our podcasts. Would be Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, whatever they call it now, Apple iTunes. I don't know what it's called anymore.
Apple Podcasts.
Is that what it is?
So so Raleigh, just an example. So a morning routine that can really make it so you're probably not going to have any cognitive decline, especially if you're active during the day, working, using the internet, learning new things, reading, et cetera, et cetera. Take your Total Health system in the morning, maybe with some extra curcumin, maybe with some extra resveratrol. Okay. And you do that, take you 2 minutes in the morning to do. Sit in front of some type of a light source with near infrared and infrared light. You can certainly use the sunflower. I have a light that covers the whole back of a door. It's a big panel that's long and wide enough where you can stand in front of it, and your whole body gets the light at the same time.
Interesting.
Like 5 minutes front, 5 minutes back. And even before I get out of bed, I turn on my circulation mat and I run that for 8 minutes while I'm lying down, waking up.
Bob, it sounds like you live in like a science room.
I live in a science project.
A science project, too.
But it's easy to do, and lots of people now do that.
I know.
There's millions of people. Some people call them biohackers, but you don't have to be a biohacker and try to figure anything out, because 95% of everything needs to be figured out. It's already figured out for you. And all you need is your circulation mat, your light, and your Total Health system.
You need to combine them.
Tic-tac-toe.
There, you read my mind, man. Just like we were playing our game. 1, 2, 3. Tap, tap, tap.
Tap, tap, tap. Total Health system is the first tap. Your PEMF circulation mat is the second tap. And your light therapy is the third tap.
You do that, you'll probably live to 400, dude. Anyway.
You'll feel great, and you'll get up and about and exercise because you're going to want to.
Exactly. It'll be like, I don't know if you guys, this is an old movie, but remember Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams, where he turns into that robot and stays around for 1,000 years or whatever.
Well, what happens in reality, is like this happens for me. It's like, okay, so I live in a condo. I'm going down the hall to put my laundry in, which is at the end of the hallway, and it's probably about 100 steps. Okay, so I walk down, put it in. If I'm going back to my condo, I run through the hallway. Right? Why? Because it feels good to run. You ever notice on a playground, right? You look at a playground to kindergartners, what is every single one of those kids doing?
Running, skipping, jumping.
Running all around.
Yep.
Why? Because
it
just feels good, and that's what they want to do. You can actually still feel that way as an adult. Like I'm only 20 years away from the beginning of middle age.
There you go.
Okay. I'm 66. Middle age begins at 85.
Right.
Like Boomers Forever Young. So we have 2 men actually that are already middle aged.
Finally.
86.
86, right? Jim and Jean.
Yeah. And so I'm getting older. I'm only 20 years from beginning middle age. And so normally people that old don't feel like running, jumping, and skipping. But when you are using a Total Health system and a PEMF mat and photobiomodulation. You do.
You can't
You
help.
have the energy.
You
of a
actually
5-year-old.
can't help but to run.
Yeah.
That's what Ann says, actually.
Yeah,
She says after she got into all that, doing it all, she would actually find herself skipping down the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And her husband like, what are you doing? She's like, I feel good. I want to move. So it's a natural thing.
It is. And it's very possible to do. And we have people much older than me, like Gene, the dancing machine.
You know it.
And Jim.
Just call them 1-800-861-4609 if you want to talk to Gene.
Yeah. And Gene is, he's up early in the morning. He works all day, right? Here at Boomers. And what does he do at night? He goes out dancing.
That's what he does.
He's 86.
He actually, he always tells everybody that he still cleans his own pool. He still changes his own oil.
Yeah.
He still mows his own lawn, and he wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
No, but it's true though. It's true.
We expect that when I reach the beginning of middle age 20 years from now, that Gene will still be working with us.
Yes, and I'm hoping that he'll do my lawn.
Yeah, because you'll be old by then.
No way. I'm not doing that. I'm not letting that happen. But listen, we are rounding out the last couple minutes here, so I think we covered a lot of good stuff. So review, right? Play with the internet, especially if you're older. It will help you maintain your cognitive function. It'll help you learn new things. It'll help you make social connections. So do that, even if you're younger. Now, if you're younger, on the other hand, try to stick to under 8 hours a day, because you do more than 8 hours a day. That actually probably increases your likelihood of dementia. So don't get stuck in default mode on either one side or the other. Find the sweet spot, right? What did we say was the sweet spot? Around
2 hours or less.
2 hours or less is the sweet spot. So there's that. Then we've got the new study finding multivitamin use may actually help slow cognitive decline and improve cognition. So you're going to find those on our website. As soon as we're done, if you didn't see this and you want to find more information about the new Alzheimer's drug that we talked about, that's our last live stream. Really good information about the new Alzheimer's drug that helps to deal with these amyloid plaques and tau protein entanglements that cause Alzheimer's, very similar to CTE, which we also have a show on too. But anyway.
And so when people go to the live part of our YouTube channel, it actually archives the lives.
Yes.
So you're not live where you can chat at that point if you're watching an archive, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 till 12, if you want to join in, you can chat and ask questions and we'll help you.
Yes, please do. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, 11 a.m. EST on TikTok back there, which thank you. You're all the way in the back because I can't use it on Restream, but I appreciate everybody who is on TikTok. And if you want to catch us on YouTube or Facebook, it's Boomer Wellness Network on Facebook. You can also find us live on Live Forever Young Radio on Facebook. If you like YouTube, you can find us at Boomers Forever Young on YouTube. And if you're on TikTok, look for Raleigh with Boomer Products. That's where the live stream comes from on TikTok. So, hey, I don't think I have anything else. Do you?
No, thanks for everybody that's watching, whether it's live or you're watching to a replay. See you on Thursday.
See you Thursday. Thanks, guys. All right, let me hit this end button here.